First we're gonna go over is one of those that you'll see what I mean by anybody can do it because you're assisted, right? Assisted rack hop. So we're gonna do double leg. So you gotta think about the shin angle, right? And on the thoracic angle. If you're thinking about that, you want them to both be in a squat pattern like this, right? So if I'm leaning forward, my shin angle should be the same as my thoracic angle, right? It's the same thing for the pistol squat, same thing for all those guys. It's gonna be staying the same thing for jumps, right? So I'm gonna grab the rack. I can grab it with two hands, I can grab it with one hand. For now, I'm gonna start with two hands. Assisted double leg hop would be, I'm gonna keep my weight in the balls of my foot, right? I'm gonna lean on my hands a lot. So right now, my shin angle and my torso angle should be the same. It's gonna stay the same. So as I'm going up, I'm coming down, I'm landing the same shin angle. And the way I coach that, I don't say angles, I don't say anything like that. I wanna keep my chest forward as I'm landing, right? But it's not gonna be a hinge, right? I'm just gonna slightly dip my hips down. So what I tell him is like, hey, I want you to get your hips low every time you land. It's keeping the weight in the balls of your foot. If my heel touch, that's okay, but what I don't wanna do is do this, right? That's gonna jar their back a lot. So I wanna say, hey, nice soft landing. I want you to land softly, and I want you to land as low as you feel comfortable. Obviously, that depth has to be there on the squat for us to even ask him to land lower on a hop, right? The squat does not, and that's what I'm saying about like, there is no previous like baseline. If you just can't get low on a squat, you just won't get low on a hop. But you might still be able to do a hop, especially if it's assisted, right? Oh, thank you so much. Okay, thank you. I'll just put it here. So heels off the floor, staying low with your hips, getting it nice and low. I really want it to look like this, just not this, right? I don't want it to land the balls of my foot. I don't want my hamstrings to connect to my calves, but I do want to get low enough because you're gonna feel the weight a lot more in your hips and your quads, and it's gonna get you more loaded, and it's gonna get you being able to hold your depth when you start going unassisted. Because unassisted is not gonna look like that. Right? You're not gonna be able to get that low unassisted. But since your legs are loaded, it's gonna get you stronger to be able to do this unassisted, right? So the first person is hands on the wall or hands on the rack, keeping your chest leaning forward, staying on the balls of your feet, dropping your hips as low as you can. I don't really focus on breathing on this one because you don't wanna hyperventilate. And you also don't wanna not breathe, so just tell them, hey, just breathe, right? Breathe according to how you feel like you need to breathe. The second version, if you go to the right, is gonna be assisted rack hops, so alternating. So now that we're getting really good at these, what we're gonna try and do is land from one foot into the other. Obviously, this might look like this in the beginning, without much, because obviously it depends on the strength they have on their joints, on their hip, knee, and ankle. Eventually landing lower and landing lower, right? It's just assisted. My hands are still connected to the ground. The good thing about the assisted version is that I can work on getting deeper because I don't have to worry about not balancing. So no matter who you are, we always start you assisted, and no matter what it is, it's always gonna be hard because we can get lower. The lower you go, the harder it's gonna be. Even when I do it sometimes, I'll do 20 reps of assisted squats just to feel it in my thighs, and it's just like, I'm like, shit, I'm worn out, right? So no matter who you are really, right? So we go from double-legged to alternating to single-legged. So from here, we're gonna go one leg off the ground, you're gonna land that same leg. Obviously, gonna start maybe like this to this. The lower you land, the more you're loading that quad. Like right now, my quad's burning only the 5, right? Like that's really low. Like you're getting used to is working on their pistol squat, step up, all that in one place, right? I'm still trying to get my heel off the ground. I'm still trying to let my chest lean forward. And as I get better and better with the depth, I'm gonna start trying to tell them, hey, let's start trying to take your hands slightly off. Maybe it's gonna start looking like this, right? You're still there and you're connecting at the bottom, but it's a little bit better, right? So it's just small progressions, right? So we go from single leg, and then we go to side-to-side double leg, so lateral hops. So we're gonna be here. And this might come, like I said, these orders are not like perfect. This might come after the double leg. You're gonna go side to side before you even go to single leg. You know what I mean? It just depends on the client too. The comfort of them, with the coordination. And this, you can also do, like I said, you can do it on both racks, Or if somebody's not that tall, is a lot shorter, you can have them on one rack. You can have them on the wall, right? Anything's assisted, you can have them on your hands, right? It's just, you can use anything for assistance, right? But use something that's stable, nice, hard and stable. And then the last one on that one is assisted single leg ladder hop. So my left leg takes off, my left leg lands, but I'm going laterally. Right? It's a lot harder to go laterally than it is to stay in place. Right? So we're slowly building that confidence. These are all progressive within themselves, even. Right? So not only are you progressing in terms of load and transferring confidence in angles, but you're also getting them ready to make the next move unassisted. So those are all assisted versions of hopping. Then we're going to start skipping. Okay, so what's the definition of a skip? Or what do you think it looks like? Show me a skip. Go ahead, show me a skip. You show me a skip.
I was about to say.
Okay, good. That's a skip. Let's see you try a skip.
That's good.
Let's see you try a skip. Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's it.
I don't skip often.
That's okay. You're going to skip a lot more when you're here.
You guys never did that in warm-ups?
What's up? Yeah, exactly.
It's not often, though. It's been a while since I had to do that.
That's okay. Okay, so most people,
I got it.
if you don't think that's often, most people haven't done it like 30, 70, 60, 40 years, right?
Yeah.
For them, it's a long time. So how do we teach a skill like that? Because they don't even know where to start. So you as a coach have to know, where do I start with this person, right? So a skip is really when one leg is off the ground and then kind of touching the other one, right? So this is kind of like a hop, but a skip is the same leg touching twice. Oh wait, hold on 1 second, I got messed up. Yeah, you're the same leg touching twice, and then you switch, and then you switch. So the way I say it is, okay, you're gonna keep one leg off the ground, you're gonna hop on the same leg, then you're gonna step with the other leg, take the other one up, hop on the same leg. Step with the other leg, take the other leg up, hop. Step with the other leg, take the other leg up, hop. Right? So you take a step, you bring the one that you were stepping on up, and you hop on the same leg you just stepped down on. That's the one thing you gotta get. If you can get that, it's solid, right? Because it's really one, then switch, one, then switch, one, then switch, one, switch, one hop, switch legs, one hop, switch legs, one hop, switch legs, right? So you're gonna do it, you're gonna teach that. It's gonna be a while to get that done, right? So you're gonna start, okay, let's work on this guy. One, step down, take the leg up, hop. Take a step down, take the other leg up, hop. Take a step down, take the other leg up, hop. You got that down, right? You're still assisted. Next, we're gonna try to get it a little bit lower. So now you're gonna bend your knees a little bit, do the same thing. So your legs go from straight to slightly bent, so it's slightly more loaded, right? You're still hanging on the rack. So the whole thing is just assisted in the rack. Once you feel like they're comfortable on the rack and they're getting it, okay, I got this. The next person is, you don't know how much they're hanging on their hands. Hey, how much can you do staying in place but off the rack? Right? Step, hop, step, hop, step, hop. So all you're doing is step hopping. So we go assisted on the rack, in place, no assistance to traveling. So at that point, don't worry about their arms. Let them do whatever they want with their arms, because you haven't taught them anything with their arms. Just keep worrying about their legs, right? Keep worrying about their legs. You can go forward. All right, once you get that, okay, so now we're going to work on your arms. Opposite arm up, opposite leg up. Opposite arm up, opposite leg up, right? So it's just different variations. And then once you get the arms and legs together, you can start going backwards, right? Backwards is obviously a little bit more different. Then you can start going side to side without crossing over. The other side is just a step hop, right? And then the next variation is for power. So now I want you to reach up or I want you to reach forward. Either one's for power. So up, right? Or forward, reaching as far forward as possible, right? We might just stay in travel forever. They don't have to get the power, right? But like I said, we just want to go from one to the other. If we get somebody just to stay in place without assistance, that's already a big goal, especially for somebody in an older population, right? Some people just forget completely how to do this. You feel like that helps break down the skipping?
Yeah.
Step hop? Okay, if you can get the step hop on the rack, I can guarantee you, as long as they can balance, they will be able to do it. One big thing they can do in transitioning from in the rack to in place to travel is go next to them, right? One thing you can do is use the wall to slide along. So you can do it this way, right? You can do it this way, or you can give them your hand and go across with them. So you can go a longer step like that, especially somebody that's older. Give them your hand and go across with them, right? If you wanted to try travel, it's the first time trying travel, whatever it is, that definitely helps out. Okay, so from that, let's go into TRX assisted squat jumps. There's two variations of this. There's one where you keep your arms straight, and there's one where you don't keep your arms straight, right? The one without arms straight is gonna be a lot more loaded on the legs. So, 1 second. Damn it, what about the keys falling over? Okay, so what we're gonna be here is, I'm gonna keep my arms bent. So this would be almost like I'm learning how to, like an assisted version of a squat jump, right? But I'm keeping my elbows bent. So if I'm keeping my elbows bent, my chest is gonna lean a little bit forward, most likely, right? So my chest is over my toes. Everything that was assisted on the rack is the same thing here. Everything. So chest over your toes, stay in the balls of your feet, land with your chest forward, right? So nothing changes from the assisted version on the rack. And the other one would be legs, arms straight version. That one you're gonna go diagonal on, right? So you're here, you're deloaded on your arms. You're adding yourself diagonal, right? And then you can also coach him on like, hey, this one you're probably not gonna get us low into a squat, right? You won't get us low here. You can stop a little earlier to get more power, but you're trying to get up as high as you can, right? Oops. Make sure nothing's behind them, obviously. Just like that. Making messes over here.
So do you typically do the arms bent or the arms straight?
I mean, it depends on the person. I'd rather get them to go arms bent, lean forward. Because that's gonna translate a lot more to a normal hop, normal jump, than the legs straight, because that's just unloaded. So it's a lot easier to do the arm straight version. I think it's a lot easier. Yeah, I think so. It's definitely, we use it on class a lot. We use both as just a way of getting more jumping in. But I like the elbows bent because it helps me get more into a forward position, for sure. Okay, so then we got the different variations of side shuffle. So we went from skipping, now we're gonna go side shuffle. So a side shuffle is this. Okay, so we're gonna start with not worrying about our arms. We're gonna worry about our legs, right? So what we're gonna try and do is, it's like a step hop, but laterally. Right? Step, hop, right? Step, hop with your back leg, hop with your back leg, hop with your back leg. When you first teach it, don't worry about their legs being bent or straight. You just want to try to get them into that position, right? Step, hop, step, hop. You might pull a little bit with the outside leg. You don't have to really teach that, but see if you can get them to this point. Some people are really weird about it. They've never done it before, so it's just going to look really awkward. But it's one of those, if you keep replicating it over and over again, you're going to get it eventually, right? So you start with not worrying about your hands. Then what we're going to start doing is side shuffle, high arm swings. Okay, so a high arm swing would be with your hips extended. Right, this is a high arm swing. A low arm swing, your legs are bent, right? So legs extended, so you do a step hop and then your arm swinging on the side. Step hop, arm swinging, and you're alternating your swings, right? So you go one arm forward, the other arm is on top. And then switch, arm on top, switch, arm on top, switch, arm on top, right? Hey, John.
Hey, Roger, how you doing?
Good, but are you scared yet?
What's that?
Are you scared yet?
Am I scared?
You told me you might be scared. Come in here on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to hear my Halloween joke?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, why don't witches have kids?
Why?
Because all their husbands are Halloweenies.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Nobody expected that one, John.
I only got one Halloween joke.
Okay. And then the other one would be Yeah, exactly. It is for sure. The other one would be this guy, right? So we're gonna go up and down, right? So nothing changes in this. My hips are extended, it's a high arm swing. My hips are bent, it's a low arm swing, right? Question on that one?
Wait, so side shuffle, low arms at chest. Which one is that?
Side shuffle, low arms at chest.
That's the same.
Yeah, knees bent, exactly. Wait, no, that's the same thing. Hold on. Side shuffle, low arms at chest, side shuffle, low arm swings. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. My bad. This is this. So you go, this is the high arm, right? Your arms to your chest. So you're teaching this swing. You're teaching this lane but with your arms to your chest. The one on the right, all the way to the right, is going this way with your arms swinging at the low stance. See what I'm saying? So the second to last. So
that's the arms of the chest.
Yep, on top, like high, with your hips extended. So the arms to the chest on the third one would be this way. Low. Yes. It's prepping you for the low weight bearing one. But a combination you can do for either the side shuffle with high arm swing or side shuffle with low arm swings. It's not just the arms swinging in front of you. You can also do arms on top of you. This is the high one, and this would be the long one, but with your hips low. It's just swinging in different directions. One is in front of you, one is overhead. That's it. It's just not there. Okay. We feel good about that one? Okay, so the next one's the carioca, right? It's also been called the grapevine by a lot of people that used to dance. Does anybody feel comfortable with that one? Has anybody done that before? Yeah? Carioca? Yeah, so a grapevine is just simple. You're gonna take a step to the side, and then the back leg goes over. You're gonna take a step to the side, and the back leg goes under. So a lot of people have done this movement before, especially older population. They've done a grapevine before. This is not moving my hips. If you look at my hips, they're not swinging side to side. I'm just moving my legs forward and back. So that's okay, I'll start with that. If they already know how to do that, I'll start with that. So from here, I start. If they can understand this, I'm great. If they can't understand it, I have to break that down, right? So what I'm gonna teach is, okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna be facing the wall. I'm gonna take a step with my right leg. I'm gonna get my left leg to come up and over. I'm gonna take a step with my right leg. I'm gonna take my left leg to go back. Right leg over, right leg back. Right leg over, right leg back, right? So I have to get into that mode first. So I take a step, and what I say is step over, step back, step over, step back. I take a step, and I go over. I take a step, and I go back. I take a step, and I go over. Take a step, and I go back, right? So I go from there. I gotta get that one first. That in itself might take a while. It might take a month or something, right? But you wanna make sure that they're rotating, right? Over and back. A lot of people just get stuck on one. They start doing this. And I'll just take it as it comes. So let's just do this for a while. But if you can do that, on the next set, I'm gonna have you come behind. Right? So you can break it down even further if we need to, right? So then okay, but let's say we broke it down and they understand now. Over and back with no hip swing. So what we're gonna try to focus now is swinging your hips. So from here, when I take a step over, I'm gonna swing my hips that direction. Take a step, I'm gonna swing my hips the opposite direction. Open up your hips. Over, back. Over, so at this point I'm starting to rotate my shoulders the opposite of my legs. So if you think about it, I'm gonna step over, my hips go that way, but my shoulders go this way. I'm gonna step over, my hips go that way, but my shoulders go the opposite way. And that's when I'm starting to feel that twist across my torso, right? Over and back. It's just how to break it down further and further. From here, once we have the steps down, it's about just increasing the speed. Okay, so over, back, and it's a lot of coordination. But people feel so accomplished when they start getting it. We got a guy that could skate for like 2 years while we taught him. And he finally just got it one day. I'm like, oh, it just takes freaking volume for some people, you know? And if you really want to get fancy, you can go the back leg really high over.
I was going to ask you to do that.
We done it with people, so like this, right?
Yeah.
Right, so just bringing the leg way over and up and under. That's really what changes it, but you're still working on is just rotating the hips. Rotating the hips, making that counter movement. Feel okay with that one? Yeah, it's just breaking everything down further, right? I mean, it's easy to teach a carioca. It's way harder to regress it. That's why I told you, like, we're all about regressions. How do we break something so much further that everybody can understand it? If we can teach it to everybody, that's great. A lot of people already know what it is, so the people that know what it is, you can't really make it harder. Squat jumps from the bench. So from here, we're gonna start teaching us squat jumps. Hold on. So we're gonna start teaching how to lean forward in a squat jump. So I'm gonna sit on my bench, my box, whatever tool I'm gonna use. What I'm gonna have him do is I'm gonna have him lean a little bit forward, put the weight in the balls of their feet, right? So I'm gonna ask him, hey, I want you to basically do a squat, but as you're taking up from a squat, I want you to try to take your feet off the ground, right? So it's gonna go here, up, and land back in your butt. When you land, it's key that you tell them this. You don't wanna sit back when you land. You're gonna fall backwards. Let your chest stay forward and lean forward the whole time you're coming back in sitting position. So you're gonna go up, down, up, down, up. But if you let them lean forward every time, you don't have to worry about going backwards. Problem is when somebody doesn't get that. So then one of the two things you can do is you can get them to touch the rack and do a rack assisted version of this. It forces them to lean forward because their arms are forward, right? It forces them. You can't do it. You can get them to keep your hands in front of them, and hopefully that helps them stay forward too, right? But you're looking for them to understand that cue, right? So if you teach it, if you coach it heavily, hopefully they understand how progressive it is. But it also teaches you, when I'm gonna do my squat jump, I have to lean forward. So it preps you. You're not gonna be sitting like this, you're gonna fall backwards, right? So it's the same idea. You're prepping somebody to do the next phase. So weight on the balls of the feet. You're gonna bend your knees, you're gonna lean forward, you don't have to do anything with your arms. You can keep your arms on your chest and then sit back down. Eventually you're gonna start using counter movement, right? So the way it works for any kind of jump, and I'll go over this multiple times because we have a lot of exercises going to use it. When my legs are extended, my arms are overhead. Or my legs are bent, my arms are behind me. That's the way it goes. The opposite would look like this. So let me show you what I want it to look like. It'll be here. Right? The opposite would look like this. Hold on. And how many people do we see in the gym like this? Yeah, like you're skiing, right? Exactly. Nothing wrong with that form, but if you want to get performance out of it, it won't help you achieve anything higher, right? That's the only reason we try, because that's one of the other things is, if we teach it like this, it just already can go up into a higher box jump later on. If I don't correct them and I let them do how they always done it, which is, yeah, like this, there's nothing wrong with this. It's just you're going for reps. If you're going for reps, that's great. But if you want to go higher up, you're not going to be able to get there unless you're starting to use your arms for momentum, right? So legs extended, arms straight overhead, legs bent, arms behind me. So yeah, like I said, so in that case, it translates, progression 1 would be here, leaning forward. Progression 2, I'm trying to get him to use that counter movement, right? All right, so now we're going to stationary baby hops. So basically what we did all in the first block, we're going to go to this block. Okay, so stationary baby hops, double-legged. So you're gonna be here. Stay in the balls of the feet. Okay, stationary, so I'm not moving. I'm staying in place. I can be next to a rack, I can be next to a wall, whatever it is. All the cue stays the same. Ball of the foot, chest lean forward. Get as low as you possibly can, landing. Stationary baby hops 2 will be alternating forward and back. So, right, so you're adding the vector of coming backwards now, right? So that's forward and back. Then you got stationary baby hops alternating side to side. So then you got almost like a skater lunge, but it's a small baby hop. Right, you're landing into each side, alternating, right? And then we got single leg baby hops. So on this one, I'm here. Landing the same foot I'm taking off from, right? So it's progressive. So that one's all staying in place, right? Except for, I mean, I guess the forward and backwards would be the only thing you're moving, but you're still in place, kind of. So now we go travel baby hops, double leg, heels down. We start, you're allowing them to let the heels down to watch their balance. That's the only reason we're saying heels down. Not because I want you to land your heels. I'd rather even start further ahead of that would be heels off the ground. But it's just because when going forward, It's gonna be such a new movement that you're not used to it. I can let you heels down as long as it's a soft touch. I don't wanna land, oh shit, my back hurts, right? Okay, so then we got, okay, so now we're going forward. Alternating, and I can keep my heels down to help me balance better because I'm still going forward, so I'm adding a new vector to it. Right, so I'm keeping my heels down just to add a little bit more surface area on the foot. Single leg heels down, so then from here, same thing. I'm letting my heels stay like in a pistol squat position just so I can increase the surface area of the landing, right? Because now I'm asking a lot more of them to balance. Then we got double leg heels up, so the same thing we just did, everything's now up, right? So double leg heels up, I'm landing the balls to my feet, and then I'm going forward. Then we got alternating heels up. So same idea, it's just progressive. And then single leg heels up. I'm decreasing the surface area that I'm landing on. Right, that's the only progression I'm doing. Heels down is a lot easier than heels up in terms of balancing and being able to create depth. We just don't want to get so used to it that we're starting to use our heel to push off. Questions on any of those? They all look very similar, but they have just distinct differences. And number one ties very well with this one. The assisted version on the rack is exactly the same thing. It's just now without a rack, and then it's going to go forward, right? Okay, so then we're starting we go from a squat jump on the bench to a jump, land, and walk forward. So, right, so we're getting ready to start taking off forward, start moving forward, right? So, and then move forward, right? That's all it is. So then, because that's gonna get us ready for a broad jump, we're gonna go really far forward, right? So the next one after jump, land, walk forward, we're gonna go skater jump. So we did this version of this, and a skater jump is gonna be longer, right? It's gonna go and switch, and switch. Trying to get your hips as deep as you can into it. Land on your big toe, little toe and heel, making that tripod of the foot, right? But we're going further. The further you go, the harder it's gonna be, right? Take your time sticking that landing. I don't wanna see, right? You're not creating anything there. Stick your landing and then take off. Stick your landing, then take off. Wait for like a second before you start jumping back the other way. Sit as deep as you can. It's really easy for me to stay high and do this like this. Even if I'm sticking my landing, I'm not putting that much weight into my quads and hips. The lower I get, the more I'm gonna put weight into the outside of my hips, right? Okay, so we're going for height now. This is where that counter movement takes into effect. Vertical jumps. So vertical just means we're going up, right? So what I'm gonna have you do, this is when it starts mattering. Okay, legs are straight, body's up, my hands are in front of me, on top of me. My legs are bent, my hands are down, and I'm gonna go reach up. Land into a squat pattern, right? So I'm trying to reach up as high as I can with my hands. It's gonna start getting them used to reaching up. So there's something to say here about box jumps could be easier to teach here than a vertical jump because landing in a box is gonna be softer landing on the floor. So at this point we can start introducing box jumps here. We don't have to, it just depends. But the momentum is gonna be the same for a box jump as a vertical jump, right? And I can do multiple counter movements, right? Before I start, and get ready to jump, right? That's what I have people do 2 or 3 before you take off, right? So 1, 2, and I'm going, right? So it's just getting that counter movement going in your head before you actually take off. That's okay to do too. Okay, so from there, so we went up, now we're gonna go forward. So the same movement goes, what I like to do in a broad jump, if we're on the black mats, I'll have them stay in a line. So let's see, I'm gonna start on the edge of this line, below this line, hands up, that means my body's extended, hands down, and I'm gonna jump forward and land in a squat, right? You want them to get that landing before you start really heavy coaching their hands, right? So, hey, just want you to land nice and relaxed. You don't have to get that far away, right? Step back, you can either turn around, jump back, or you can just walk back to where you started from, reset yourself, and let's go. It just depends on the amount of space you have around you, right? Once they can feel comfortable landing, I start coaching them. Okay, now I want you to follow your body with your hands, right? So if I start here, I'm gonna go up on my toes, down, follow your hands, right? Some people are gonna fall backwards. That's okay. But I do wanna land forward with my chest. So I have to heavy coach on that, right? So, okay, on the next one, what I want you to do is up, down, and when you go forward, land forward in your chest, right? Stick your landing, right? So then, the lower I get, the harder I jumped, right? So if I'm getting here, I'm not really jumping that far. Most likely they have more on the tank for themselves. The only thing you wanna be careful with this is knee pain, because you are gonna land forward. So there is the instability of the knee is shifting forward. So if somebody doesn't have an ACL, this would be a problem. We're gonna be very careful how far we ask them to jump forward. Somebody might not have an ACL and get away with this. We don't want to push them to maximally jump, because that just might go forward because it doesn't have anything stopping it from going forward, right? What I always say is, hey, when you finish your jump, if you're gonna try for it, just make sure you get your hands ready just in case you fall forward, right? So up, down, right? And then just relax up again, right? Questions on that broad jump? No, hands stay the same as the vertical jump. You're just, whenever you jump, you're gonna reach towards your hands. Your hands follow, your body follows your hands. The same thing's gonna be when we go to the box jump. Okay, so ankle hops. So these are a lot harder to explain because you kind of want to have your knees locked out for these. Yeah, so we're gonna be here. We're gonna try to lock out our knees. We're gonna jump through our ankles only, right? So you're teaching somebody how to make their ankles a lot stronger. That's it. If you want, we can try this one real quick. It's really harder than people think. A lot of people will do this. It's just what they're used to jumping rope with, right? Try to keep your knees locked out. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a mini hop, right? And then when you get really good at this, you can try to start jumping a lot higher with your knees locked out, right?
You're on the balls of your feet the whole time.
Yes, you have to be. You have to be. If your heels touch, you're really not jumping at all at that point. That's gonna, but a forewarning, for you to be a really good jumper and track and field athlete, you do have to have really stiff ankles. So there's a dilemma, right? We have an athlete, soccer player, basketball player, jumper. They're probably gonna have stiff ankles and they needed to have it for the sport. So it's kind of like, how much do we want to take out of their ankle stiffness? You gotta be careful because they need it for the sport. So what do we do there, you know? That's a hard one. Unless they're having ankle problems, we'll deal with it. But if not, hey, I want your ankles to be as stiff as possible because you're gonna be able to rebound a lot faster when your ankles are stiff, right? Okay, so ankle hops. So then we got lateral jump, continuous. So it's almost like a squat jump, but you're going laterally. So, right, and I'm coming back. I'm landing in a squat jump, I'm coming back. I'm just making sure that they can squat laterally as well as forward and back, right? I'm loading up the joints. It's just different angles. We got hurdle jumps. So at this point, we got two ways you can do hurdle jumps. Let me bring both tools just to show you. So we got three different hurdles that we have. Small, medium, large on the orange hurdles. I'll show you what that looks like. So our small hurdle is this one. Our medium hurdle would be this size. And our large hurdle would be this size, right? That's really all we have in terms of hurdles. But we also have a PVC pipe, and we can stick it any height that we want, right? So we use this a lot more than those. Okay, so if you think about it, the smallest we can go on this one is this height. So this is a little bit smaller than that, so we tend to start people with this one. After that really comes this. This is gonna be a little bit smaller than the medium hurdle, if you ever need to know that. The next step would be a little bit taller than the medium hurdle, all right? But it's still smaller than this guy. The next one would be about the same height as that one, So at that point, we're about the same height, and the next one would be way higher. So once we get past level 17, you're really just gonna stick with the PVC, right? Just so you know that. We do just keep the hurdles with the PVC a lot of times by themselves, but a hurdle jump. So I'm just gonna teach you with that one, and then get rid of these, because we're gonna need this all the time. We wanna make sure that we coach, hey, I don't want you to touch my hurdle, right? So I want you to tuck your knees into your chest as you're jumping forward. It is harder to teach a hurdle jump than it is a box jump, I think. Okay, so for here, it's like a vertical jump, except you're going up and over, right? So hands up, when my body's extended, hands down, my body's bent, and land soft, stand up. That's it. Down, up, land soft, and stand up, right? That's all it is. So you can do a couple of counter moves, 1, 2, and then up and over. What I wanna make sure they do is that they land with their chest forward, not their chest back, because that's gonna jar your back. So let me show you what I mean. So landing like this, if I go up and land this way, I'm gonna jar my back a lot more than if I go up and land this way. I'm not gonna jar my back at all. So a lot of people trying this or trying to go over a certain height will tend to avoid the hurdle by going maximally up, tucking their knees in, but when they go over, they don't know how to get their chest forward, so they land like this and fall backwards. I'm gonna be careful with that because it does jar your back a lot, right? So if we're trying to go a little bit higher, right, we're trying to push a little bit. As I'm getting ready to jump, I'm gonna tuck my knees in, but I wanna make sure I land low, right? I wanna make sure I land really, really low. Let me think. On this one, some people trip over it, so stay away from my hurdle, right? Like try to not touch my hurdle. If you feel my hurdle touching, point your toes up when you pull up, right? You don't want to make sure somebody's on takeoff, and when they're pulling their knees up, their toes pointing down, it's gonna still be here. I want to try to keep my foot plantar flexed, right? Every time we're jumping, we're almost plantar flexing our foot, right? Every time we're taking off. Okay, questions on that one? No, so when we have hurdles, we'll have the numbers on the rack, usually. So if you step somebody up, you just gotta say, hey, we did it at L16, L9, L7, whatever that level 7, level 9, whatever that number is, right? So we'll have it assigned usually. If not, it's up to you to figure out and be the first one to put a number in, right? Because we're leaving it up to you because we don't even know what a client could do. So you're the first person is gonna have to figure out what the client could do at that point. If it's not any of these hurdles and it's even a smaller one, just try small orange hurdle, medium orange hurdle, large orange hurdle, right? All right, so let's go over box jumps. Let me get these box. Go ahead and grab me that one too, please. Perfect, thank you. So the boxes work a little bit differently. I don't know if you guys have ever seen these boxes before or not. So they just have the Velcro to each other, right? So you gotta line them up. So one of the sides is completely off. There you go. This one's a little bit off right now. Hold on 1 second. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be enough so if you're gonna jump, yeah, exactly, it's stable. So like right now it's not perfect. I still have a little bit in the bottom, but it's not a high enough box. Once I start getting higher and higher, I wanna make sure it's pretty on top of each other. Hands are what makes everything normal here. Extended, hands up, bent, hands down, right? So that's it. So you start seeing patterns, but we've been developing those patterns. So by the time they get here, it's super easy to teach. That's why we're so heavy into coaching the beginning phases of everything. If you can coach that really well, it pays off later on. All the difficult movements you want to try is so much easier to try later on. They're like, oh my God, I couldn't even think I could do that. Well, you built yourself up to this, right? You built a lot of things up to this. Okay, so with the hurdle, it's really important that we pull our knees into our chest in this one too. It's very important on this one. The hurdle, you can break the stick and you still go forward. On this one, you're gonna hit and you're gonna go forward and you might fall over, which is okay. It's happened. I mean, always, like I said with a broad jump, if you ever landed, you're gonna land on your hands. These are really soft boxes. That's the only reason we only use these boxes for jumping. We've had a lot of bad experiences with shins and hard boxes, right? A lot of tears on their shins, a lot of people scrape the knees, everything. So just the same. So people always ask me, how far should I stay away from it? Hey, if you're gonna go down, I want you to be far enough so you don't touch when you're swinging your arms down. Everybody's swing is different. I might have really long arms, so I'm gonna bend my arms, right? So my swing, even though my arms are this long, I might actually swing my arms a little bit closer because I'm bending my arms. That's okay. It's definitely okay to bend your arms. So I'm here, I'm down, I'm gonna jump up and land softly. We always teach land softly first. Once we get to a maximal height, we might start landing harder because we can't stop ourselves. But in the beginning, when you're teaching it, hey, land to a soft squat. That's the same reason when we do the assisted squat, we land low. The only way to land low here is to land softly, right? Let me think. So yeah, counter movement on the hands. And then once we get higher and higher in height, you're teaching the same thing you taught in the broad jump. Your body's gonna follow your hands. So if I wanna get up to this side box, I'm gonna go really high up, I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna jump up, and I'm gonna land. But I'm gonna have my hands extend fully, explode through my hands as I'm going up. A little bit more in technical terms, for any kind of like long jump, broad jump, high jump, whatever it is, you wanna use your stretch reflex. So if I'm doing a counter movement, if I go down fast, I want to be able to come back up fast. That's why it's okay to build a couple of like, right? I'm getting ready. And once I get ready to go, the minute it's like a gun. If I pull that trigger, you're going down up. You're not going down and staying down here and thinking about it. That's going to throw all your momentum off. You're going, and it's going to bounce back a lot more when you're doing a counter movement, right? So you want to use your stretch reflexes going down to come up as fast as you can, right? So the faster you go down, the faster you can come back up. I wouldn't teach that in the beginning, but for somebody that's performance oriented, for sure, right? So if you're looking for something more to coach, do we feel okay about the box jumps? Yeah, hurdle jumps? Okay. So then we got a couple of other different angles. We got lateral hurdle jumps. So nothing changes, you're still squat jumping laterally, right? So I'm here, I'm just going over an object, right? I'm still landing the balls on my feet, my heels are probably gonna touch, that's okay. As long as it's not kind of this, right? I wanna land soft, as soft as I can. 180-degree jumps, so you're just jumping up and landing the opposite way you jumped. So you're gonna be here, right? So you're using a little bit of torque on your knees to be able to do that. That's okay. At this point, it should be okay doing that. A tuck jump, it's a little bit harder because you're just pulling your knees in. So you're gonna go down, up, tuck your knees, and back down, right? Reset every time. It's not continuous. I want you to reset every time. And then a kneeling jump, you're gonna start here. And all you're gonna do is jump from here, right? Right, so we go down, you explode through your hips. It's a big explosive hip movement. It's like a hip thrust, like a hip hinge, like a kettlebell swing. You go down and you're using your arms a lot, right? You can do that into a box, obviously. It's a lot of more progression than this. This is just it's already too progress for what we need to go over, but you start seeing patterns. Like once you develop the beginning, everything else is just a continuation. It's just a lot harder. But if you can develop the beginning, you can understand the beginning basics, you're solid. You're solid. How do we feel about that? Feel pretty good? Yeah? Questions on any of those that you want to go over before I ask you to show me next time, tomorrow? No? Feel pretty good about it? Okay. Let's see. The difference between a hop and a baby hop. A baby hop, you're not really moving that much forward. You're not moving that big. You're staying low. I'm staying always with my legs bent. A hop, I'm extending my hips fully. That's really the only difference there. That's the question on the left side. So a baby hop, you're never really fully extended, right? You're staying low because you're working more on getting your chest forward and bringing your hips nice and low. A full hop, you're gonna start almost jumping basically, fully extending your hips. That's really the only difference there.